The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. Alaric, a 46-year-old software engineer in Seattle, stared out the window of our lakefront home, a place that once represented everything perfect in my life with my wife, Isolde. Now it felt like a gilded cage, imprisoning me with the ghosts of what we used to be. It had started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Isolde, a vibrant and successful real estate agent, had always been busy, but lately, her late nights at the office stretched later, her explanations vaguer. Business trips became more frequent, her phone calls hushed and secretive. I dismissed it as stress, the cutthroat nature of her profession taking its toll. I was a fool. My suspicion began as a gnawing unease, a prickling at the back of my neck that refused to be ignored. It wasn't a single event but a series of small inconsistencies. A perfume I didn't recognize lingering on her clothes, a sudden aversion to intimacy, the way she flinched when I touched her. One evening, Isolde claimed she was attending a real estate conference in Vancouver. I kissed her goodbye, a hollow gesture that felt more like a performance than an expression of love. As she drove away, a seed of doubt bloomed into full-blown suspicion. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Against my better judgment, I decided to do something I never thought I was capable of. I checked her phone. It felt like a betrayal of my own values, a violation of the trust that had always been the foundation of our marriage. But the need to know, the fear of the unknown, overwhelmed my conscience. Her phone was locked, of course. Isolde had always been meticulous about her privacy, but this felt different, deliberate. I tried our anniversary date, our children's birthdays, nothing worked. Then on a whim I tried Lorenzo, a name I hadn't heard in years. It unlocked. My heart hammered in my chest as I scrolled through her messages. There it was, a thread of conversations with a contact saved as L, filled with sickeningly sweet nothings, clandestine rendezvous, and promises of a future together. Lorenzo, her college sweetheart, the one she always claimed was just a friend. Messages painted a vivid picture of their affair, a clandestine romance that had been blossoming for months, hidden beneath a veneer of normalcy. They talked about their stolen moments, their burning passion, their inevitable destiny. I felt like I was reading a script from a bad soap opera, except this was my life, my marriage, my reality being ripped apart before my eyes. I stumbled back, the phone slipping from my grasp, crashing onto the floor. The screen shattered, a fitting metaphor for my shattered world. I sank onto the bed, the reality of Isolde's betrayal washing over me in a tidal wave of nausea and disbelief. How could she? How could she lie to me, betray me after all these years? We had built a life together, a family, a home. We had weathered storms, celebrated triumphs, and supported each other through thick and thin. Or so I thought. The next few days were a blur of anger, confusion, and despair. I confronted Isolde when she returned from her conference. The initial denial, the theatrical display of shock and hurt, quickly crumbled under the weight of the evidence. She confessed, her voice trembling, her eyes filled with a mixture of guilt and defiance. She claimed it just happened, that she couldn't help herself, that Lorenzo was the one who understood her. The same tired clicks, the same pathetic excuses that every cheating spouse trots out to justify their actions. I listened, my heart hardening with each word, the love I once felt for her slowly turning into a cold, bitter resentment. "I still love you, Alaric," she sobbed, reaching for my hand. I recoiled, disgusted by her touch. "Don't," I said, my voice a low growl. "Don't you dare say that to me. You have no idea what love is." I spent the next few weeks in a state of numb detachment, going through the motions of daily life while my insides churned with a toxic mix of emotions. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't focus on anything. My work suffered, my health deteriorated, and I felt like I was slowly disappearing. Isolde moved into the guest room, the silence between us thick with unspoken accusations and regret. We barely spoke, communicating only when necessary, our conversations stilted and formal. The house, once a haven of warmth and laughter, became a battleground of resentment and pain. I considered leaving, packing my bags and disappearing, but the thought of abandoning my children, of letting Isolde and Lorenz waltz off into the sunset while I was left to pick up the pieces, fueled a burning desire for revenge. I started documenting everything, gathering evidence of Isolde's affair, consulting with lawyers, preparing for a messy and protracted divorce. I wasn't going to let her get away with this. I wasn't going to let her destroy my life without a fight. One evening, while Isolde was out with friends, I decided to pay Lorenzo a visit. I found his address online, a swanky condo in the heart of downtown. I drove there, my hands clenched on the steering wheel, my heart pounding in my chest. I parked across the street and waited, watching the building, my mind racing with violent fantasies. I imagined confronting him, exposing him, ruining his life the way he had ruined mine. But as I sat there, stewing in my anger, I realized that revenge wouldn't bring me peace. It wouldn't undo the pain, it wouldn't erase the betrayal. Instead, I decided to do something more calculated, more strategic. I knew Lorenzo was married, a fact that Isolde had conveniently omitted from her sob stories. I found his wife's name and contact information online. I composed an anonymous email, attaching copies of Isolde's messages and photos, detailing their affair with meticulous precision. I hit send, then watched as the email disappeared into the digital ether, a silent missile aimed at the heart of Lorenzo's perfect life. The next day I received a call from Lorenzo's wife, a woman named Bront. Her voice was trembling with rage and disbelief. She thanked me for exposing the truth, for saving her from a life of lies and deceit. I didn't gloat, I didn't revel in her pain. I simply offered her my condolences and wished her the best. As I hung up the phone, I felt a sense of grim satisfaction, a small measure of justice in a world that often seemed devoid of it. The divorce proceedings were brutal, a drawn-out battle over assets, custody, and reputation. Isolde fought tooth and nail, trying to paint herself as the victim, claiming I was controlling and abusive. But the evidence was overwhelming, and in the end, she lost. She was forced to sell the lakefront house, splitting the proceeds with me. She lost her real estate license, her reputation tarnished by the scandal. And she lost Lorenzo, who predictably dumped her as soon as his marriage imploded. In the end, Isolde was left with nothing, stripped of her illusions, her dreams, and her dignity. She tried to apologize, to beg for forgiveness, but I was unmoved. The woman I had loved was gone, replaced by a stranger I no longer recognized. I moved on, slowly and painfully, rebuilding my life from the ashes of my shattered marriage. I focused on my children, my work, and my own well-being. I learned to trust again, to love again, but I never forgot the lessons I learned from Isolde's betrayal. Years later, I received a letter from Isolde. She was living in a small apartment, working as a waitress, struggling to make ends meet. She wrote about her regrets, her mistakes, and her longing for the life we once shared. I read the letter, my heart filled with a mixture of pity and disdain. I didn't respond. Some wounds never heal, some bridges can never be rebuilt. Isolde had made her choices, and she had to live with the consequences. I found happiness again, a quiet, understated happiness that was all the more precious for its fragility. I remarried, a kind and compassionate woman named Bronwyn, who understood my past and accepted me for who I was. Isolde's betrayal left an indelible mark on my soul, a constant reminder of the fragility of trust and the destructive power of deceit. But it also taught me the importance of resilience, the strength of forgiveness, and the enduring power of love. I never sought revenge, but I didn't forgive either. I simply moved on, leaving Isolde to wallow in her own misery, a cautionary tale of the consequences of betrayal. She thought she could play with my heart, but she didn't know I had a few tricks up my sleeve too. And in the end, I won. Looking back, I realized that Isolde's affair was a turning point in my life, a painful but necessary catalyst for growth and transformation. It forced me to confront my own vulnerabilities, to redefine my values, and to create a life that was truly authentic and fulfilling. And for that, I am, ironically, grateful. The rain has stopped, the clouds have parted, and a sliver of sunlight breaks through, illuminating the lake. I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale, releasing the last vestiges of anger and resentment. I am free. I am whole. I am finally at peace. I hope my story serves as a reminder to you. Cherish those who love you, guard your heart, and never underestimate the power of forgiveness. Because in the end, love is the only thing that truly matters.